A long time ago, in a galaxy really far away and seemingly in a completely different dimension than our own, Rockstar Games made a bunch of racing games. No, not stealing cars and racing them, just some straight up Need for Speed, Fast and the Furious type stuff. Yep, we're talking about the Midnight Club racing games. And they were great. Now eventually, we're planning to talk about all of them. We really like each and every single one, but today specifically we wanted to talk about Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition.
So you're baby's boy, huh? The one who says he's into cars. Cool. So what you into, Holmes?
Now, Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition released on PlayStation 2 and Xbox in April of 2005 in North America. It had to follow up the extremely fantastic Midnight Club 2 from 2003. Now, this game's subtitle, Dub Edition, wasn't just a special edition version of the game with like different box art or something, which I'll admit as a dumb kid at Blockbuster looking at the game on the shelf, I was really confused. But Dub Edition was Midnight Club 3, and it signified a partnership collaboration between Rockstar Games and Dub Magazine. It was a magazine and a brand bigger in the 2000s that focused on custom streetcar culture and the car lifestyle in cities. The Dub branding and the vibe was sprinkled throughout the game in menus and stuff, but ultimately 3 had way less personality than 2. 2 had more memorable racers with a bit more personality and voice acting. Some people preferred the soundtrack, but where 3 may feel slightly different from 2, it makes up for it in the racing and the customization department. Midnight Club 3 was the first Midnight Club game to focus on car customization, and hot damn, it was pretty good. There was performance stuff and there was cosmetic stuff. Now, with performance, you could essentially buy upgrade levels or tiers for things like your intake, headers, nitrous, your computer, exhaust, turbo, tires, and brakes to make your car faster and handle better. It costs a lot, but it was fun to really earn your way there and really feel a difference and get an advantage. On the visual side, you're adding bumpers front and back, body kits, spoilers, wheels, tires, the ride height, paints of all different kinds, lighting, window tint, and vinyls, of course. Customization-wise, it was pretty solid and up there and able to compete with other games of this style. You could get yourself like a Nissan Skyline or a Toyota Supra and completely transform it. The game goes a step further and gives you SUVs, muscle cars, motorcycles and stuff. There were actually over 60 different vehicles in 7 different categories. Tuners, luxury sedans, SUVs, exotics, muscle cars, sport bikes, and choppers. And it really made a difference that they were all licensed and real-world vehicles, down to smaller choppers that were custom built and made in different shops around the country. But large brands or small brands, it really helped having those licensed vehicles. It was kind of like the one thing that the previous games were missing. So you take these vehicles and you race through open world San Diego, Atlanta, and Detroit. Because of the design, races were open-ended, so you were guided by flares and not invisible walls. So you could take your own route through a city as long as you ended up hitting the checkpoints and or crossing the finish line and you're good. This wasn't necessarily a totally new concept, but it was refreshing amidst all the other street racer type games at the time. There were also timed, more traditional races and sprints too. The cities were filled with fun shortcuts to discover and learn the ins and outs of. There were jumps, tight alleyways and squeezes, and just some good old-fashioned racing stuff. And plus, driving around more in the leisurely cruise mode let you find hidden collectibles. You jump into the main thing though, career mode, and race your way up the ladder. It's really simple, and there's not a lot of story, not a lot of cringe-inducing dialogue or characters or anything. You're really just doing the thing. Racing, and earning and unlocking cars, and of course, tons of cash to then upgrade the cars. The races were incredibly high speed, and if you can't tell from the gameplay here, this was more of an arcade-style racing game, meaning not exactly highly realistic, way more of an emphasis on fun, speed, chaos, and drifting and drafting. Taking those turns wasn't exactly realistic in any way, but it was fun as hell to drift, and honestly, sometimes that can be more important depending on what type of racing games you enjoy, or at least what kind of high-speed action you're looking for. Every Midnight Club game featured larger-than-life abilities you could use mid-race, too, that were really over the top, but actually useful. Dub editions were probably the most straightforward, but also the most broadly useful. You had aggro, roar, and zone, and they were all for specific vehicle categories. Aggro, for example, used mostly for the larger vehicles like the SUVs, was an aggressive shield that allowed you to crash into other racers or pedestrian vehicles, and they would get pushed away from you and you would receive no damage or lose no momentum. Roar is like a shockwave pulse to move everyone away from you. Zone, our favorite one, allowed you to slow time for a few seconds to navigate a pinpoint maneuver, dodge a car last minute, or just do a perfect tight turn. Think of it kind of like the precursor to Franklin's slow down drive ability in Grand Theft Auto 5 many years later. You built up these abilities to spend them on the field by driving flawlessly and doing cool stuff and not crashing. Plus, back in the day, it really did look amazing for a PS2 and Xbox game. This was one of those games that had tons of advertising and tons of ads and screenshots and magazines, and it all looked too glossy and sharp and shiny and cool to be true. But thankfully, the final game did look pretty damn good, even if we all had really crappy TVs back then. The cars were shiny and high quality and high polygon count for the time. The streets had a realistic sheen to them. The cities themselves weren't really too detailed on the street level, but the actual design and intricacy of them was pretty impressive, with tons of shortcuts and the alternate routes you could take, and just a good amount of variety to the different areas. The frame rate is also solid. On PS2, it strained a bit when there were a lot of cars and a lot of chaos, but it still all managed to feel incredibly fast and satisfying to play. Even going back and playing it now, by the time you get to rank A cars, the speeds are out of control. It's insane. You can pull off some truly ridiculous jumps if you build up enough speed that like almost break the game, but it all handles it all fairly well. All these things put together, it just made for fun, chaotic, fast racing. Now, it wasn't quite Burnout, but it had a good sense of speed with the blur and the effects. It had a dash of the vibes from the old Rush games, actually, but with that cool people street racer vibe. Like a lot of the things Rockstar makes, really, it was all tastefully balanced and a blast to play and progress through for hours and hours. The game also featured an arcade mode if you just wanted all action, as well as a pretty fun race editor and split-screen multiplayer options. What was big for a lot of people that were lucky enough to actually have an internet connection at that time for gaming were the online modes. People genuinely really loved them, thanks to the obviously fun gameplay, but also the clan stuff. You could form your own groups, where here they were called clubs. Get it? Online mode was embraced for the good, simple fun and the ability to have these groups, and the servers stayed alive until 2014 when Rockstar finally shut them down. Now, from what we roughly know, Midnight Club 3 sold over 1 million copies and was embraced on all platforms, including a PSP version that I actually vaguely remember being pretty cool. In 2006, we saw the follow-up release, Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remix, which packed a pretty generous amount of new things. Most notably, a whole new map, the city of Tokyo, which was previously featured in Midnight Club 2 and was totally awesome. Here, this version, it was slightly modified and it was just a blast to engage with, along with the addition of 24 new vehicles, new races and modes, and a bunch of new licensed tracks from artists very much of the time, like Block Party, Damian Marley, The Game, and Sean Paul. This was the version a lot of people played, and it was the definitive version, really. You were actually able to transfer your saves from the previous version too, which was really nice for the time. Many people raced their hearts out in these games and have really fond memories worth highlighting. From the really good music all around to the customization that got pretty over the top and allowed you to get like insane gold 20-inch rims, to the city worlds worth blazing through, Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition was damn good, and we wanted to just take a quick trip down memory lane. We also just wanted to highlight this because after this, of course, we saw the release of Midnight Club Los Angeles, but then that was it. Rockstar definitely seemed to have turned away from the Midnight Club series, along with a lot of other games they made, to focus on more storytelling, more online modes, and stuff like that. You know where the history of Rockstar game goes. But there was a time when they were just cranking out weird, quirky, fun racing games that, at first glance, yes, it very much looked like all the other games that were street racing games at the time, but when you dove into it, when you dipped your toe into it, you could tell there was a little bit of that Rockstar touch to it, a little bit of classiness, a little bit of simplicity, and a really good grip on the fun factor. But thanks for allowing us to get nostalgic for a bit. We like to do this sometimes with certain games. So we want to hear from you guys in the comments, of course. What do you think about the Midnight Club series? Which one should we talk about next if we have a chance? I vote for 2, but maybe some of you guys want us to highlight Los Angeles. Let us know. What was your favorite city? What was your favorite car? Do you have like a memory of decking out a Supra? Anything like that, anything you want to share, we definitely want to hear from you in the comments. And of course, if you want us to tackle any other games from this time period that you're nostalgic for, definitely drop that as well. But if you enjoyed this little trip, this little nostalgic trip down memory lane, clicking the like button's all you gotta do. We would really appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing because we put out videos of all kinds every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.